All right, everyone. Another day, another activist judge appointed by Obama trying to block a program that would keep Americans safer and expedite the process of clearing out all of the illegal immigration in the country. Cue the left clutching their pearls. Oh my God, who will pick the kale? My arugula, not the arugula. Who will be out back working for sub-minimum wage costs, mixing my chai smoothies, my lattes, and stuff like that. It's basically the only reason why they want illegal immigration. Slave labor, effectively, that and stacking the census. But the judge, link in the description archived, of course, has decided to block Trump's block on sanctuary city funding. He was like, hey, if you cooperate with ICE, you can have your funding. If you're not cooperative with U.S. Immigrations and Custom Enforcement and ICE, then you're not getting any money. There's no reason for the federal government to take taxpayers' money and fund your city projects and shit like that if you're not even cooperating with what is the law. You are knowingly allowing people to reside in your communities and doing nothing about it, despite the fact that they are breaking the law physically by being inside of the country at this time. We're trying to process what the fuck is going on, and you're not being helpful, so no money for you. Well, that's been blocked. I would like to point out something else. And there's a hypocrisy involved here. Liberals are cheering this decision. Oh, yay, yay, we can keep our sanctuaries. She sells sanctuary after all. Um, Highway funding is a great example. Did you know that there is no federally mandated drinking age in the United States? By the way, technically, it's not a drinking age at all. It's actually the age to purchase alcohol, like at a store, because alcohol, you need the license to sell booze, and so forth. In some states, it would be perfectly legal for an Italian family sitting at the table to give a glass of wine to their 12-year-old. It would be considered legal. Not in every state. You have to check state laws because they are state level. The federal government doesn't have anything to do with it unless you're manufacturing and selling booze or something like that. Then the federal government might get involved. Otherwise, generally, the states handle it. But here's the catch. If a state were to lower the drinking age, I mean the age to purchase alcohol, and say, well, 18 is fine. You know, it's in line with virtually the rest of the civilized world. Hell, in some of those countries that Bernie Sanders is so fond of, the drinking age is 16. Sometimes it doesn't exist at all. And so supposedly this is a problem, but despite the fact that 18-year-olds can buy booze in the Netherlands, I saw no more drinking than I see here. Although I would note that you see a lot more alcohol in public because public possession of alcohol in the Netherlands generally is legal. Uh, Also on Bourbon Street, you will know there's probably a reason for that because try enforcing the no open containers policy down there. But if a state were to lower it, or even if they just lowered it to 20 or something like that, they would lose highway funding. It's docketed to that at the federal level. So the federal government can take funding away from a state for that, but they can't take it away from a state for knowingly promoting illegal activity because that's what these states and cities are doing. There are several sanctuaries. I believe Vermont's a sanctuary state, if I remember correctly. They are knowingly doing this. They are literally allowing people to be illegally in the country and refusing to cooperate with removing them. That's totally unethical, horrible, and bad. But if a state says, well, we've determined that it's fine, based on empirical evidence, it's fine for 18-year-olds to be able to buy a beer or two, and all of a sudden, then people start shrieking. That's because it's been a long-standing policy, and the longer that we allow the sanctuary policies to stand and do nothing about it, the more normalized they will become. And they will probably spread, too. And it's unpopular, by the way, with the public. What these judges are doing isn't really doing any favors for the Democrats because it makes them look like, and they are, that they're propping up illegal immigration on purpose, again, to stack the census and for slave labor. Somebody's got to pick the radishes. Somebody's got to pick the strawberries. No native-born American would ever do that. Nobody ever gardens anymore or anything like that. There are no small home farms or anything. Farmers markets, fuck that shit. You will find if you travel around the United States It is a lot different in certain areas than others with regards to the number of like farms and gardens and shit like that that you see. And Bill Gates is gobbling up entire counties and, planting his Franken soybeans and stuff like that. But I thought this was funny because people who would normally look askance to, I mean, if again, if a state were to lower its drinking age to buy alcohol, again, not drinking age, to 18, you get more pushback, and the government would remove highway funding from that state, and probably nobody would really care about it. But when this happens, all of a sudden liberals cheer. They find it great that the government has the power to limit funding for states or municipal areas on one basis, but it lacks the power to do it on the other one, even though the precedent has already been set that it does indeed possess that power. Do I think that it should be able to possess that power? Depends. Honestly, I would think that it shouldn't wield power over the states with regards to the highway funding and, alcohol consumption. Whereas it should be able to wield the power to tell states and cities, look, knock it off with sheltering literal criminals. You are attempting to decriminalize something that is under federal purview, which is immigration policy. I would think that that would be a much more compelling reason for the federal government to be able to assert hegemony than, hey, you're letting 18-year-olds buy a Bud Light. The kid over there in the man bun, he's got his Bud Lights, I suppose. That's about all. Peace out.